Welcome everybody. It is Fantasy Bros episode 3, reaction to NBA draft and a little bit of EPL catch up after the international break. We've got our normal co-host. It is DC. Hello, DC.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And we've got a legend in the making. A legend of fantasy basketball. Here he is. You can see the 3 banners behind him. He is very good at that game. And you probably heard me refer to him in the previous few episodes, but it is Richie, the one they call Martinez. Welcome, Richie.
Thank you very much, guys. Pleasure to be on.
Good. So format today, as I said, we had our NBA draft night. That was last weekend. That's like Christmas night for me, isn't it? I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It's the highlight of the fantasy year, without a doubt. Getting everybody on the Zoom call and doing that draft live is definitely the highlight. The EPL one doesn't have the same kind of buzz to it that the NBA does, but maybe that's because we've been doing that one for longer.
Yeah. It's a bit more special, isn't it? Because the first one we did, we've got plans maybe for next year to do something a little bit different. Maybe bring it to life a little bit more with sticker draft in person thing. Yeah, but we're gonna put some plans in place for next year.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that, the sticker draft. All right. So, should we have some early reflections?
Yeah, here we go.
So, DC sharing the screen. What we see there is the 3 squads. Now, there are 8 teams in this league, in the Red Dot League NBA, as you know, but there's only 3 squads that really matter. Oh, DC. DC, you've got the Digglers in there. Can we get?
You can't. No, you can't. I'll just have to scroll around. So.
Oh, okay, all right. Shame you can't get the 3 squads on there that matter. So there's only 3 teams that won this league. Current reigning champions, the Neen Stars, 3-time winner, Raptors 2.0. That's Richie, and of course Airwave, myself. So those are the 3 squads that really matter.
Let's let the guests go first, shall we? So, Rich, I'll scroll down to your team.
Yeah.
You just talk me through player by player.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? How you expect them to do this year? Any sort of notes, really?
Yeah. So obviously, in our league, we get to keep 3 players. I believe you've mentioned before that you have to have a set number of home players. Obviously, by my team name, you can tell I'm a Raptors fan. Toronto is my city. So that impacts who I have as my keepers. But I mean, I have 2 obvious superstars in Giannis and Wemby, so that they were easy to pick. I believe that they're both top 5 in terms of projected points for the season, and I keep Scotty Barnes, or have done ever since we've introduced the keepers rule. So those 3 are the standard. Last year I had a down year. And tried to trade away as many other people as I could to get as many draft picks to essentially tool up for this year. And the draft, I think, essentially has gone as well as I could have hoped it would. I've done some number crunching, and in terms of just where players are projected ranking wise, I'm there or thereabouts. In terms of projected points, if you take all of the squads, I've got the highest projected points. So I'm hoping that I can add to the 3 banners or the 3 pennants that I've already got, but a lot will depend on. I don't think it will come down to the bigger guys. I think it will come down to the guys that I've drafted. The sleepers. So the 4 players that I focused on, and again, I've had some trade interest from yourself, DC, in terms of some of the people on this list.
Yeah, trade again.
The 4 guys that I'm most keen to kind of keep an eye on to begin with, Buzelis from the Bulls, who in pre-season, is averaging 17.6 points per game. He was just averaging 16 points in fantasy last year, so he looks as though he's going to take a step up alongside Giddey, who I've also got. Sharp from the Trailblazers again. He averaged 29 points fantasy-wise last year, but again, he looks as though he's going to make a step in the right direction. Klingon, again, another Portland guy. not going to get a ton of points, but he will get rebounds. He will hopefully get blocks and contribute in that one. But the one I'm most excited about is Khalil Ware. In pre-season, even though the Heat I think they've lost 6 out of 6, if memory serves, he is exceeding expectations. So over those pre-season games, he's averaging 17.8 points per game, over 11 rebounds per game. If he, alongside Bam, obviously, can do the business for the Heat on that sense, he might do the business for me as well. And will be a steal.
Like they're playing both of them, don't they?
Yeah.
That was my only concern was, are they the same player? But they seem to be fitting both quite well into that starting 5, don't they?
Correct. And that was the problem last year, is that they did kind of rotate the 2, I believe, whereas this year it seems as though the plan is to have them both on the court at the same time. Ware is definitely taken a step in pre-season, and hopefully he'll do the same. I referenced about the fact that obviously the bigger players should do what they should do. I know that there's a certain host of this show who has an issue with my Wemby draft, but again, Wemby in pre-season, he's averaging 20 minutes but 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. The man is an alien, hence the nickname.
He's grown 2 inches. We had a graphic on that.
And he's grown. Well, they don't. Again, the rumor is that's not even enough either, and some people are saying he's actually 7'7" rather than 7'5". And again, San Antonio haven't lost a preseason game. Hopefully, obviously, his health issues are behind him, because he had the blood clotting issue last year, which actually didn't affect me, thankfully, because I wasn't in a challenging position last year.
Yeah,
but hopefully he has a fully fit season this season, and will lead me to glory. There are a couple of teams for me to keep an eye on. Airwave are one of them, sadly. But I've got a sneaky feeling that there could be a couple of others who might surprise. I think Steve's Temper Group could be useful. I think Jordan Rules, despite the lack of draft, I think could be sneaky on paper. So
he was an auto draft, wasn't he, Jordan Rules?
Exactly. But again, if you go by simplistic numbers, he could be a problem.
Absolutely. Rich, going back to the Wemby stuff, I feel like we should clear this up on air now, okay? So I do congratulate you for picking Wemby. I suppose the slight issue that I have is that season where you picked him, I had tanked. So I had like a stash full of draft picks waiting and ready to draft whoever, whenever.
Yeah.
I did some, I don't know how you phrased it, Dunk, at the time. Would I, because we wanted to introduce the keeper league setting, didn't we? And you said to me, would I forego my season of dominance to enable everyone to have keepers? Of course I would. I'm a team player, right? That's what happened.
Yeah, you definitely took one for the team there. Definitely.
Exactly, yeah. I took one for the team, and then you snuck in and got Wemby. So look, fine, fair enough. So that's all I'm saying about Wemby. He's yours. He is probably going to be a Raptor till he finishes playing, I'd have thought. But Rich, the other thing about your team, I would say, is you have selected. You've got a good team. But you also always pick up trade chips. So you've got in there, you've got Halliburton on the bench, as we can see that DC's highlighting. So he's going to be a sought after player by Matt, whose home team is Indy. You've also got in there, obviously, Dunk's Magic, Wagner brother.
Correct.
And then you've also got a whole host of Raptors. So should Darren come back to the party and want another Raptor, you've got some chips in there to trade.
Yes. I mean, my general philosophy in the draft is obviously keep an eye on the positions that I need. But if you can get those potential players to trade away to try and as you say, whether it be get draft picks or try and force a player out of another squad. Now, Wagner happened to fall at the right moment anyway, but I'll be honest, if it falls that way and I can use it to my advantage, then I will happily draft that player. So again, Halliburton's a bit of a weird one because obviously he's essentially going to be out all year. It's worth sticking him on the bench. If Matt doesn't have a great year, then fine. I might try and shift Halliburton because again, I don't think he'll be a holder for me further down the line. But
closer to the trade deadline, that's when you need to be trying to think about what we're going to do with him because
correct.
You either keep him or you sell him at that point. There's no point having him otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be a sell for me further down the season, I would imagine. It's just the value that I can get for him at that particular moment in time. And again, I hate to say it might come down to how many IL spots I've got. And if I've got to dump him at another point, then so be it, because you've only obviously got the 3 spaces outside of the injury list plus spots, which generally get most weeks, don't they, from memory? So again, if 3 of my players get injured that are going to be more valuable and are going to be back at some stage during the season, then he's going to have to go. But he was worth using a draft pick for in this case. What I would say on the Wemby scenario, just to put my tuppence worth in, credit where credit's due to you for giving up all the draft picks. I'll never take that away from you, but I did take him in the 2nd round, so you did have the chance to draft him. That's the only that's the only defense mechanism.
That's one of the highest rookie drafts. A rookie's never gone that high in any of our drafts before.
No, until this year, of course. But the draft was slightly different, obviously, with the keepers that we have. Wemby was done when you could draft any player at any time, and this became the start of the keepers, didn't it?
Yeah.
But Flag, obviously.
So that was a ballsy pick. So back to you, that was a ballsy pick. Wemby at round 2 as a rookie.
Yeah.
That might not have paid off. You never know. Like nothing ever turns out exactly how you think it's going to.
No. Yeah. I mean, again, I do a lot of, quite sadly, I do a lot of reading beforehand, and everything about the reports on Wemby said that he was going to be a star. But obviously, at that height and at that frame, you do wonder whether his body was going to be able to cope with it or not. Mm-hmm. Having watched him, because there are various clips of him working with the Dream, for example, in the off season. He looks so much stronger. He's bullying people, to get to the hoop. He's, he just looks bizarrely, obviously taller, as everybody's claiming, but he just looks stronger. The clip of him literally off the free throw, he barely jumped at all and was able to put away the rebound for a dunk. He's a beast. So it'll be fascinating to see what kind of points he puts up this year.
If he's, from a basketball playing standpoint, if he's anywhere in the lane, if you don't use the rim to protect you, he's going to block you. Like the only way you'll score in the lane is either that teardrop floater, or you've got to use the rim to protect your shot. Otherwise, he is going to swap and
go under.
Are we going to see that season where he gets like a quadruple double? Is it going to happen?
Well, he's been close to the blocks. They're getting the 10 blocks before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Whether I don't think San Antonio, if they're going to win games, obviously they'll protect him. So if they're well ahead, again, like all of the fantasy players, if you've got a dominant player and their team are dominant and there's no point bringing them out for the 4th quarter, then you obviously lose the potential of extra points in fantasy terms, but also it's good for the respite. And I think that's what will happen with the Spurs. There'll be games that they just run away with and he won't see the 4th quarter. So I don't think
more relevant this year. They'll be more relevant this year. The difference is they'll be more relevant this year.
Yes.
Because you always have these teams, don't you, where they're rebuilding. They've got stars. The stars look interesting, but there's always a doubt in your mind because at some point they're either going to shut them down or they're not going to be competitive and they'll rotate the bench. San Antonio moving into that. And that was happened with the Magic, OKC, Houston. Last year, they flipped it and they were competitive, right? Yeah. I think the same thing will happen to San Antonio this year. They'll go, right, now we're going to be competitive and now we're going to build.
Yeah. Definitely.
Then,
I mean, the addition of Fox wasn't for this, for the sake of just picking up a player.
exactly. Yeah, we're building now. That's it. We're going to start winning.
They had to, because if they didn't, and I know they've exercised, unsurprisingly, they've exercised Wemby's contract year, haven't they? But they needed to prove to him that, right, we're not wasting all of these years. We're actually now going to progress to something. So San Antonio might not win it all, but they'll certainly be a factor this year for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All right, G, do you want to go through their lineup?
Yeah, so my lineup is not as punchy as Raptors 2.0. So my keepers were always a bit weak. I was trying to move away from Embiid. I managed to sneak a trade for Embiid last year. And then I think he was shut down. So my keepers aren't as strong. But my league, my team is going to be more about the collective. So I've just got a lot of guys that I think will contribute a lot. And whether that will be enough to beat Rich's juggernauts, I don't know. But you've got Thompson, Reeves, Hart, Williams, Johnson, and if you scroll down, Vucevic. I think SAR's projections will be up this year. Brunson, Bam, OG, Jarrett Allen, CJ McCollum. And then I've got a couple of injuries in there. So, yeah, Fox and DeJounte Murray, both those will get back at some point. Tatum is a sleeper. So, yeah, my team's definitely not as punchy. And I've also got the issue of what are my keepers going to be. So I think that will evolve as the season carries on. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the season. I've tried to make a couple.
What's your strategy for Tatum? Are you thinking that gives me a chip to trade away at a high value to a Celtic owner? Or are you thinking, no, actually, do you know what? He's just an excellent player. I'll keep him as my keeper, play him next year.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, really. Yeah, I've got to monitor it and see how he does. I suppose Rich and I went into this season with all the draft picks, but that means we're probably not going to we're not going to be able to buy as many draft picks next year because there's not going to be many teams tanking in the league this year, or that have got enough assets to tank with, if that makes sense. So
I think it's also that you want to be at least a version of competitive each and every year.
Yeah,
it's quite we look forward to doing fantasy basketball each and every year. And last year, it's really difficult to sit there week in, week out, having a rubbish team, looking at the results and knowing that it's essentially pointless. So I've, almost set myself the challenge right now. Whether I stick to it or not is another matter. But trying to hold on to as many draft picks as I possibly can, and even if I can try and get some extra ones. Depending on how the season's going, if I'm hopefully running away with it, can I squeak one player away for another draft pick?
Yeah,
I think we're all getting wiser to the fact that, don't get rid of them, because it essentially you just lose a year. And I know that's how, dynasties work in real basketball, but we don't want to lose a year, because it's just, essentially a waste of time.
Yeah.
So
you want to be competitive, don't you? That's the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every year.
Last year, I was in I was in that dilemma last season whereby I was trading away picks for players because I felt like it was my opportunity to go for the championship because especially you two were having a down year. And I thought if I don't win this year, then this is my golden opportunity to pile it in. Now, what didn't help was Ben also did the same, and Ben was spending more than me.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, do I go down that route of keep spending on picks and build that team? Luckily, I managed to find slight balance where I was still going to be slightly relevant this year, but obviously not at full strength. But it was worth it in the end.
Yeah, well,
it's only worth it if you win, but it was worth it. It turned out to be worth it.
Well, you've got the banner to prove it, right? You've got the banner to prove it. So I suppose with Tatum, going back to the question, like if he's not going to be fit and I can keep him, then if I can get something from Steve for him, that can improve my squad next year, and I'll still have the same level of players now. So just got to see how fit he gets. I mean, ideally, he would be a keeper, though, right? Him, Brunson, plus one other. Wait and see who comes out the team. So we'll see. We'll see. I was keen
his value to Steve. That would be Steve's number one choice, wouldn't it, in terms of a
Yeah,
keeper?
yeah,
So the
absolutely.
value is there. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
can you realize that value through a trade? That's the
yeah,
question.
yeah. I mean, it might be that look, if Rich is too far ahead of me at the time, and I feel like I need to be competitive, I might drop him. Try and get like a Sabonis or something for him. Before the trade deadline to try and give me a
Oh,
bit of a power up. That
yeah,
that
he
that
loves
that.
that guy though.
Yeah, no, I can't get.
Prizing it away,
I
prizing it
can't. I
away.
can't get him out.
Yeah,
Boy, I've tried. Boy, I have tried. Yeah. So back to the team. I've got a lot of players that will contribute. There's no real weakness. There's a load of scoring. There's a load of power. We just see how it goes. See how it goes. So what
good
about you,
stuff.
DC? Reigning champs. Where are you at?
Okay, so we're in a semi rebuild year. I'm not sure what that means yet, but I just felt like I need to say. The keepers for me are SGA and Paolo and Sengun. I think they all fit the bill perfectly for me. They're both fairly young.
Yeah.
They're all of them at the top of their game in the
Yeah.
positions that they play. They've all got growth potential still. Maybe not
Yeah.
so much SGA. Maybe he's at his ceiling already, but the other two have got growth potential still.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm really happy where I'm at with them. I did debate Sengun at some point when there was lots of changes happening at Houston, but he started well in preseason and he's almost triple doubling in one of the games. So I'm thinking, well, okay, we're good now. We're good.
I hope
Um,
I hope he doesn't remember the fact that you offered him out to me last year, DC. I hope he's not.
yeah, yeah,
I hope
Players always remember.
yeah. I've got some temporary players, more temporary players in the guard positions. So these three here, for example,
yeah.
I like them all. I think. Did you see Reed Shepherd the other day? He had an exceptional
Yeah,
game.
I think Reed Shepherd's a great shout actually, DC. I think he's got the potential with Fred Van Fleet out
Mm,
for the entire season. He's
yeah,
got the potential to pick up one of those two guard spots and really run with it. And obviously, he
yeah,
showed the potential in that preseason game the other day. And again, looking at kind of sleeper lists on websites, he's one of the names that crops up for that very reason. So
yeah,
I was slightly disappointed to see that you got him, but it's one of those scenarios for you where, again, depending on how your season's going, I think your three keepers will probably stay the same for next year unless anything
no doubt.
changes. But the likes of Shepherd,
Yeah,
the likes of Mobley, the likes of, even Jakob from the Raptors can do a job for somebody who's trying to secure their playoff places, or, as I say, depending on how injuries go for me, for example, on the Raptors front. You've got opportunities to get some extra draft picks for next year and put yourself right in the mixer again.
yeah. I mean, when I was saying about the younger guards, so I'll see how they start. My intention is to bring these guys into the team when they're fit and ready. Hero's probably looking like the more likely one. So he would move in to be my main shooting guard, I would say, alongside SGA. And I'd be really happy with that because his average last year was over 40 fantasy points a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Well,
really did have a good season last year.
yeah, and with Jimmy obviously going off to Golden State, like his usage
Yeah,
just goes up, doesn't it? It shot up. So
yeah. Williams, I don't know. I like Mark Williams. I always have done. I had him last year. They played him for a bit. He's been traded since then. They've now got three centers or even four on the books. So I'm not sure he's going to be able to replicate it. You've got Richards, who also went there from the same team as the
yeah,
backup center. They drafted this guy as their rookie, who
yeah.
looks beastly as well.
Mm.
Big, strong, tall guy who's going to fill the same spots as Mark Williams. So see how that one goes. But I think there's enough. I like breakout players. I like seeing that potential. There's enough in there to be interesting for me.
Yeah, you've
Where
got.
I finish, I'd be aiming probably for the fourth spot, something like that. That would be my goal, I think, for this season. Can I still get a playoff spot? And if it's not looking likely, then decisions have to be made at that point.
Yeah, it's a classic Need Star squad, that DC. You've got a lot of younger players. You love to draft the younger, the
Yeah,
younger
yeah, definitely.
pros with a view, to just cash in on some upside. So yeah, classic Need Star squad. That.
I mean, this guy, I'm just going to see how he goes, right? I had Cameron Johnson in that role,
Yeah,
but I looking at Cameron Johnson's pre-season, he just didn't put. For me, he's not a good fantasy player in our format anyway. In a points-based league, he's just not good enough for me because he doesn't contribute enough in other categories.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not getting that combination of things that add up.
yeah,
Whereas this guy, I might drop him after a few months, but in the games that I've seen in pre-season, he's contributing points and rebounds and assists and other defensive stats as well.
mm,
He's really doing it. Now, whether he carries on playing when Koulibaly comes back, that's the question. But I've
yes.
got him waiting. So if it doesn't work out when this guy comes in, then I've got the handcuff ready to go.
But there are so many questions up and down all the rosters, and again, obviously, the trade deadline kicks in, and we all sit there and go, right, are our squads going to get decimated, or impacted by the trade? So, with the best will in the world and the best laid plans in the world, they can go horribly wrong pretty quickly. With an injury here, a trade there, etc.
Yeah.
And you're always slightly worried in our WhatsApp group when you see, we have a particular symbol that signifies that somebody's trying to trade without giving away the detail. Yeah, and I look at that and go, right, straight into the app. Is that for me? No, it isn't. Right. What are they after? Who are they going for? It's that fear of missing out of the big trade.
Try to introduce that into other fantasy groups. Sorry, Rich, talking over you. I was saying, I was trying to introduce that into other WhatsApp groups for other fantasy groups. And I just get why have you put that on the group? I'm like, come on, you should know that. Or if I'm waiting for a response, I'll put the fax machine on, like near the fax machine emoji.
I
love it, or whatever, you know what I mean?
I do love seeing that emoji.
Guys, for our viewers' benefit, that emoji is the cat sat at the keyboard frantically pushing buttons. As we all know,
that's the gift. The emoji is the letterbox. The letterbox with the flag up to signal that you've got mail.
You are right.
The cat emoji is when primarily DC is trying to work on some sort of trade, but I do love that cat as well, I have to say.
Guys, we've only got a couple of minutes to go. I'm conscious.
Let's move on.
I'm conscious that we wanted to get through some FPL stuff. Maybe we'll have to save that till next time. Should we just look DC back at those matchups? I think that'd just be an interesting way to leave the podcast today. Here we go. Look at these first week matchups, and that is the matchup that I didn't want to see. Second match down, Airwave versus Raptors. So that's probably going to be seeds 1 and 2, having an early season battle off. How are you feeling about that, Martinez?
You're right. It's not the one you want first up, to be perfectly honest. You'd rather have an idea of what your squad are capable of. And again, although I've got a 100-point projected margin there, I know that I'm about 5 games down, and I don't know whether your squad is actually set up perfectly as you'd have it from day one. So life is a lottery at the moment, and I'd much rather have been going in against somebody like Ben, who gave away all of his draft picks to try and win last year and didn't. So I guess it'll give us a gauge of where we really are against each other. But again, then I follow it up with the reigning champion in week 2. So I've been kind of thrown into the fire to begin the season with. But, I'll know where I am.
Yeah, quite. DC...
I think some of those numbers there are probably not real yet. Some of these teams may not have done their proper lineup.
They're definitely,
that feels a bit low.
Correct. Yes. There are definitely edits to be done to certain teams. For sure.
Yeah, because I keep swapping players around for the IL plus spots. And then it changes your your settings for the later in the week. So I haven't redone mine yet. So I'm sure I was about 1,200 when I did it last time.
I've got a couple that I'm just going to bin after the first game. After the first game night, they're going straight away. So
nice.
I told you I was doing some stat work the other day, and I took essentially the best 15 players, regardless of whether they were in the IL spots or not. and plug them into a spreadsheet. And essentially, there was only about 600 or so points difference between a lot of the squads. So, like I was mentioning earlier, I think that like Matt's Big Emus and Jordan Rules and the Temper, I know that BJ obviously the Digglers were looking to have a good year this year. So I think it will be more competitive than it's been in previous because of the draft pick scenario. And as I say, DC, you're always trying to work an angle and get better. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good season this season.
Yeah. DC, you first match up there. So that's Neen Stars versus Jordan Rules. How are you feeling about that one?
Well, I think he's got a lot more seasoned players, I would say. That's my feel, is that some of my young guns are going to have to step up. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, week one, just to see where we're at. But I mean, depends how active he is that first week. It's not been that active in the off season. He generally got the date wrong for the draft, so that's what he said to me. So
yeah,
but I also set him the challenge of getting the team ready, as in picking your homegrown and tell me who your rookie is.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's been done yet. So what's the space on that one?
Okay, well that'll have an impact on his score.
Yeah.
So
could do.
Moving down the matchups, the Digglers versus the Tempers looking quite tasty. There's only just under 8 fan points in it already.
Yeah, if that if that carries on like that, that's going to go all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of those two are quite active in terms of waiver wires and moving players around. Yeah. BJ is more trade willing than Steve that I've found in the past. But both know what they're doing. Both pay attention, so that should be a good one to start the season.
Absolutely.
For both.
I'm sure a few of you had trade discussions already. I was also having one with BJ this week that didn't come off, but he was contemplating for a couple of days.
Who was the main piece, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I was looking for coverage of shooting guard, small forward, split position.
Yeah, that's what you asked me as well.
Yeah, and so I was looking at Desmond Bain, kind of from a double whammy. Not necessarily because I actually think his fantasy points will be lower this year than last year because he's sharing the load with Paolo and Franz. But from a point of view of he's got the provisional coverage, he will be a half decent player and he's a homegrown as well. So those are a combination of things. But anyway, no deal done yet.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Sorry, G, who's gone for the Cooper Flag trade already? Who's willing to admit they've sent an offer over?
I haven't.
I haven't. My feeling around Flag was I really wanted him, and I was going to use my first pick to get him. But of course, Matt for the Big Emus has jumped in there and stolen him away. He managed to get
I sent one over and was swiftly rejected. Which was based around the Halliburton, and I think Matt is far more savvy in terms of he's not going to roll over and have his belly tickled, and I imagine he'll keep Flag all year. But I'm pleased for Matt that he got that first pick because he was the last person in to join the league.
Yes,
and he essentially inherited a squad. So he hasn't been able to pick essentially any of his keepers. He just inherited them. It was nice for him to be able to go, right, I'm going to have that guy. And he will be my keeper for however long he wants him to be. So as much as your plan, obviously, G, was to pick Flag up, and rightly so. I was pleased for Matt because it means that as I say, it's the newest one in. He's now going to be fully engaged in it because he's got his own guy.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree. Moving on to that last matchup, so they're rolling on dubs. That's Ben's team. Ben tanked a lot last year. All his draft picks went, so he's left really with kind of one player, the Joker. There's not a lot else in that team. So it's going to be interesting to see Ben's strategy as to where he goes. because I don't know
Yeah.
how he extracts value for next season now.
Well, he's got LeBron, hasn't he, sat on the IL, I believe, if memory serves. And again, obviously, if I'm Ben, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to have to shift this guy because otherwise I'm not going to get anything for him ever eventually he's going to retire.
Yeah.
So, right, this is the year. What am I going to be able to get for these pieces? And more importantly, when's the right time to try and float them around to get the maximum value?
Yeah.
So again, because as I say, James is probably as good a piece as he's got to try and get something half decent. If you look at the rest of it, and again, I got draft picks in rounds 3 and 4 out of him last year. Again, I think he'd be suicidal if he gets rid of the Joker. To be honest, if he does that, it needs to be for minimum of 2 top 10 fantasy players and draft picks to even enter the conversation.
I was throwing out 3 potential keepers for him. I've already offered him, a load, 3 that I would consider keepers. So I threw Williams, Tatum, and JJJ at him already. Just to...
the thing for me there, G, and again, I'll be honest, Ben and I do talk about trades on a WhatsApp.
So you vetoed my trade?
No, he vetoed it anyway. But he asked me what my opinion was. And I said to him, to be perfectly honest, unless you're getting, as I say, 2 players in the top 10, so Tatum, yes, but unless that other player from you, as I say, is a top 10er, why are you doing it? In the teens and in the 20s in projection isn't good enough. You're giving away the best player in the entire game. And he's going to be that unless obviously we have the Wemby jump. So you've really got to max out. And as much as I say, Tatum is a good player, the other 2 that you put into the trade, you might class them as keepers, but they're not to the value that the Joker is. So,
well, I think Williams.
As I say, my offer to him, I think I did it last year. I think I put Giannis in there. I put another couple of decent players and picks together, and he still turned it down. I think he's going to take something phenomenal.
But I think he's going to have to accept an offer this year.
I genuinely don't.
I think he doesn't have enough trade collateral to get draft picks. I think he'll just have to sit tight, finish low down the division, and then have a full stack of draft picks next year and go again.
See what you can get in terms of any other piece on his roster. He could move on. Like DC said, keep hold of all of the picks that you've got. Have a respectable draft next year. Hope that you get the highest one so you can pick up a piece, because as we saw from this draft year, you were able to get some good talent at the top, even with all the keepers. So his plan should be, if he's watching, as he should be, sit tight, hold on to you're literally the Joker of the pack. And then we'll see you again next year, and you can start to build again.
Yeah,
but as I say, I think it would be, and I've tried to obviously get the Joker off him. I've thrown God knows what at him in the time we've been doing this. I just think it will be you're basically just throwing away the game if you're doing that.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Okay, fellas. So that's the NBA draft reactions. That's a look forward to week 1 matchups. The FPL stuff, we will come back to you next week. We'll run out of time. Just wanted to show this last bit of merch, guys. So fresh from the NBA store, it's an NBA mini dribbler. There it is. And colours on the back. Look at that. Wilson NBA.
Lovely.
What more could you want than a mini dribbler?
I mean, the dribbler is probably appropriate. We're getting closer to that age all the time. So,
can you imagine what it looks like in 10 years' time or 15 years? Are we still doing this then? Let's hope we are.
Let's hope we are.
Yeah.
Well, again, there's every chance, DC. There's every chance.
Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up, guys. Martinez, lovely to have you on. You are a Fantasy Bros stalwart. I can see it coming moving forward. DC, thanks very much for your time, buddy.
Take care, everyone. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers,
Pleasure.
guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.